Welcome to the Checkered Floor Garage. This is the first motorcycle I've ever owned, my Kawasaki Vulcan 750. It's a 2004. I've ridden it for about 14,000 miles over the past 4 seasons, and for the most of that riding, I've had these front and rear-facing dash cams from Inov. I've got the K3, which also comes with the microphone and the GPS. I want to take a break from the mechanical and service side of the VN750 and show a couple of the clips that I've recorded over the years, along with my personal safety insights. I'll play the clip first without talking. That way you can watch it and try to identify the hazard as it's happening and try to see what you would do in that situation. Okay, we're obviously in a neighborhood, so I'm already going to be reducing my speed. And on top of that, the mentality I have is that anyone or anything can come out into the street at any moment. It could be a kid or a dog, a car backing out of the driveway, or in this case, as you saw, a ball. Right here, even before the ball is thrown, I identify the hazard, which is the kids, and I enter orange state. Or in other words, I'm in a ready-to-act state. I'll explain my color code orange state stuff after this clip. I'm ready to engage in an emergency response if a ball or a kid or both run into the street, especially considering, see right here, I have this white Explorer blocking my point of view. Next time if this were to happen, I'm just going to let the ball go on through. Anything could have happened to change the trajectory of the ball. I could have misjudged the trajectory, and if I did, that ball could have gotten in front of my front tire or underneath the motorcycle. And when I'm out on the road, I need to look out for myself, not making the job easier for the kids so they don't got to, chase the ball further down the street. So that's just one learning that I made in watching this video. Now, earlier I mentioned orange state. And what I mean by that is this awareness code chart that I put up on the screen here for you. I learned about this and kind of took notes watching Dan the Fireman on YouTube talk about safe motorcycling riding practices. And then my wife, who's into graphic design, helped me make up this chart here. So starting at the top, when you're in white stage, you are unprepared, you're unaware, and you're just zoned out. You never want to be riding your motorcycle in this white stage. For the most part, you want to be in the yellow stage. You're relaxed, but also prepared and aware. You've got good situational awareness and you're zoned in. If you identify a hazard, like in my example with the video, I saw that there was the kids playing and I was in the neighborhood, I upgraded from yellow stage into orange stage. So that way I am ready to act. I can perceive the threats and it just sets me up for success to go into red stage if need be. Red stage is action time. You're actively engaged in an emergency response, whether that be swerving left or right, finding some sort of escape route, progressively braking, coming to a safe stop. That is your action time to keep you safe. And you want to do this without entering brown state, because brown state is a breakdown of mental and physical performance. You're panicked. It's basically you crap your pants and you are not in a good situation. I'll leave a link in the description down below for this PDF safety placard. It's 2-sided, and I took notes by watching, like I said, a lot of Dan the Fireman on YouTube for what to do, and a lot of Moto Madness, 99 Lives, like those types of video compilations for what not to do. Not riding at excessive speeds, keeping your ego in check. And also what I do with this placard is every now and then, as I'm gowning up for a ride, I'll look at the placard and I'll just pick one thing to read, and I'll just kind of keep reading it and internalizing it over and over in my head as I'm gowning up before a ride, just to keep those safe riding principles fresh and always at the forefront as I'm riding. Here's the second video. Notice how much space I create between me and the Nissan in front of me. This space grants me vision and sufficient space to always have an exit strategy. That's one of the things I have on my placard. As you saw, it was helpful to have, and honestly, the Nissan should have done this as well. It would have saved him from almost rear-ending the truck in front of him. With that big space cushion I create for myself, it was very easy for me to identify the hazard and come to a smooth stop while also keeping an eye out to make sure no one behind me was making the same mistake as the Nissan driver. There's nothing else really to say here other than ride your own ride. I only ride within my comfort zone, so if someone is following me closely, I'll just make a turn somewhere and get out of their way. Now, whether it's a car or a motorcyclist. And while this motorcyclist wasn't tailgating me, he still wanted by. So as soon as there's a straightaway, he zooms past before I can even get the chance to move over to the right and signal him to go on and pass me. It's important to be situationally aware to all hazards around you. That includes behind you as well. Here's a good example of everything going right, and then still something can happen out there on the roads. I came to a stop and made my left turn when it was my right of way to do so. But just because it's legal to go doesn't mean it's safe to go. The car across from me at that stop sign, as you saw, blew past the stop sign. My takeaway from this situation was that if something seems off, I'll take more time to assess the situation. I remember from this day, the car who ended up blowing past the stop sign seemed to be going quite fast, faster than it should have, considering that there was a stop sign in front of them. But yet, I still went and made my left turn and took my right of way. One set of skills broke down, which was my decision making in the moment. I decided to go. But another skill set, having an exit strategy, kicked in to get me out of that situation by accelerating more. Before I show the next clip, this is a great opportunity for me to share with you something that I use at work as an engineer, and that's the Swiss cheese model. I use it for risk analysis to show how accidents can occur due to the alignment of system vulnerabilities. So in this case, our system is riding safe out there, and all of the different layers of Swiss cheese are all the things that keep us safe. Maybe you took the motorcycle training course, you've got your 360-degree situational awareness, you're not riding under the influence, never speeding, always having an exit strategy, positioning yourself for safety, all the things that we learned from the course, from watching YouTube, to keep us safe. All of those things have their vulnerabilities. And those vulnerabilities in those layers are the holes in the Swiss cheese. So let's say, for example, one layer of Swiss cheese is that you are 360-degree situational aware, but there's holes, there's gaps in that mentality. Mistakes can always happen, and you cannot, just be situational aware to everything and have a clean slate, guaranteed safe ride. Same thing for never speeding. Just because you never speed doesn't mean there's going to be vulnerabilities or things happening out there. And those things that can happen are the gaps, those holes in the Swiss cheese. So as you have your multiple layers of Swiss cheese, all these things keeping you safe that I listed, if you have those holes that align between the layers, something's going to fall through all the way down to the bottom. And that is indicative of an event happening, a crash. So as I'm gowning up and preparing to ride, as I'm out there riding, it's just something I think about to always keep those holes in the Swiss cheese as small as possible. So not speeding, riding within my comfort zone, riding to the conditions of my motorcycle, to the conditions of the road, the conditions of the visibility, the weather out there, all of those things to minimize those gaps to give me the best possible chance of success to having a nice, smooth, safe, and fun ride. For this next one, I lost the original footage, so I'll just talk along with this one as it goes. I noticed the speed limit sign here of 25 miles an hour, so I reduced speed from 35 down to 25. And here's a great example showing you when the shift in awareness happens. So there's an upcoming intersection, and I see that. I upgrade from the yellow zoned in state to the orange ready to act state. Next, I notice this empty space in front of me where a car could use this space to turn in front of me. When riding, not only do I look for where cars are, but also I'm looking for where cars aren't, because it's in that empty space where there's no cars where someone can turn in front of me and kind of take up that space. So here, I looked through the red SUV to identify a hazard, which was the left turner. If I was going faster, I may not have had much space or time to react and respond. Maybe that left turner would have seen me, maybe not. I'm not going to leave that up to them. I'm going to leave it up to me where I can control the situation as much as possible. Here's an example in a breakdown of skills and, in a sense, the Swiss cheese model. I thought the FedEx was coming to a stop on the right side of the road, and I remember this day. I even thought I remembered seeing hazards or a turn signal pointing to the right or something. So there is the breakdown in one of my skill sets, reading the road. There's a hole in this layer of the safe riding principles, or in my analogy, the hole in the layer of cheese. But I've got other layers of cheese protecting me, other layers of safe riding principles. You'll notice I slowed down from a maximum of 38 miles an hour to 25 and below as I was getting ready to pass. There's no way out there. I will not pass someone going the full 40 mile an hour speed limit. By slowing down, it gives me more space and more time to react and respond accordingly to the situation. This is a good example here of something that I like to do if I see the side of a vehicle. You see this little weave, this little left and right motion that I'm doing here? I actually learned this from the motorcycle subreddit. This is what's known as the SMIDSI weave. It's an acronym, the SMIDSI weave, and it stands for Sorry Mate, I Didn't See You. I weave like this to give myself some extra motion and some extra visibility. That way the side of the vehicle there, the black Malibu, possibly sees me, because I'm giving myself some extra motion. He sees me, he won't turn out in front of me, and then he won't subsequently say, sorry mate, I didn't see you. So a little bit further as to what's going on here with the SMIDSI weave is that us humans, the way we evolve, the way our eyes and brains work, we see motion really, really well. And my analogy for the situation is when I see deer in my backyard, encroaching on my backyard, trying to eat all my plants, it's very easy for me to pin it out all the way from my kitchen if they're moving their heads up and down and grabbing the plants, wiggling their little white tails. But then as soon as they pick up their heads and look at me, and they stop moving, and I'm trying to look, and I'm like, is there a deer up there? Am I just seeing something? As soon as the deer stops moving, it's hard for me or anyone to pin it out. And as soon as the deer kind of twitches its ear or twitches its tail or just continues eating, as soon as that motion starts, it's easy again for me to see, oh, there he is. The same thing's going on here with the SMIDSI weave. If, we're small, so by doing that SMIDSI weave, we give ourselves some extra motion. It's another layer of Swiss cheese that I use to keep myself safe when I see the side of a vehicle. The SMIDSI weave is not the only safe riding practice I'm using here to keep myself safe. I also enter orange state, reduce my speed, move over to lane position 1, which is that left position of my lane, kind of furthest away from the Malibu, just in case if he encroaches into my lane. And I engage the brakes, I slow down, and I'm focusing on the Malibu's wheels. It's very easy to sense motion from those wheels, the spokes of the wheels moving forward. And as it inches forward, I will continue to just, keep my distance, slow down, and identify the escape route. As soon as the hazard is cleared, as soon as I know without a doubt he's stopped, he sees me, I'll accelerate on and get out of there. So with this one, there's nothing else I wanted to show regarding, safe riding principles. It's just that there's this kid at the intersection who's always waving, and I like to rev at him. That's all. This last clip that I have here for you is another example of the SMIDSI weave, just at a faster speed limit. The speed limit here is either 40 or 45, I forget, miles an hour. So I identify a potential hazard in this side of the vehicle down there on the right. So I enter orange state. I slow down, I cover my clutch, brakes, all that, and I'm just ready to act. I also go as far as engaging the brakes a bit to slow down to give myself, again, extra space to respond and react accordingly. And all the while, I'm keeping a keen eye on the car's wheels. Because, like I said, as those wheels move forward, it's very easy to sense the motion of a vehicle, to see the motion of a vehicle, if you're focusing on the wheels compared to the overall car itself, or maybe you're trying to look at the driver. It doesn't mean anything if the driver looks at you. I think that they can even be looking at you or beyond you. They'll still keep moving that car forward. But by focusing on the wheels, that is my indication that I use for how slow I should be going, approaching, getting closer to that vehicle. My mentality is that in any given situation, I want to be sure I can come to a safe stop or otherwise find an escape route if needed. So the more I see those cars' wheels turn, the slower I will go as I get closer to them. And then when the hazard is cleared, I will accelerate out. And all the while, as I'm doing this, I'm also monitoring the situation behind me to make sure that no one is coming up too fast or getting too close. So that's all the dash cam footage I have to show you. Ride safe out there. I needed a break from filming, technical service-related items because for a month I was troubleshooting my downshifting issue. I've since pretty much fixed it, but it took a lot out of me. I'll do another general Vulcan 750 video, and then I will get back into some service, maintenance, mods. If you got ideas for what you would want to see done to the bike, let me know. And if I'm capable of doing it, I will certainly make a video about it. And as always, thanks for watching. Check out the links and the description down below for helpful Vulcan 750 items, and have a good one.